I just did this really funny thing before I sat down and started to record. I was making my tea and I was stirring the tea with a spoon. And I turned around and I put the spoon in the sink. And there were no other dishes in my sink because I did them last night. And so I put the spoon in the sink and then I turned around to get my tea. And then I turned back around and I stared at the spoon in the sink. And I had this thought. I was like, do I allow myself to leave the spoon in the sink? And I just looked at it for a second. And then I quickly grabbed the spoon and put it in the dishwasher. Listen, it just makes the process easier, okay? It makes it easier to get dishes done if you just put your dishes directly into the dishwasher. Some people might say, well, what is the sink even there for? It's there to wash your dish and put it in the dishwasher. I thought it was funny. It was a funny little thing I did before starting. Hello and welcome in to the bedside table. I'm your host, Ellie Marie, and it's nice to see you. It's nice to have you here. I realized in almost all of my episodes, I say welcome back to the bedside table. For those of you who are returning, welcome back. But I also noticed that I never say just welcome. Welcome to the bedside table. For those of you who are seeing me for the first time and popping in for the first time, hello and welcome in. Some of you may have noticed this isn't my usual setup, but I'm trying something new. I also still don't feel great. I can't hear out of this ear at all. My chest hurts because it's very congested. You can probably tell that I'm really congested. This shit's just taking me for a ride. This is a ride at this point. And I have no control. No control over what's happening. Like, I literally don't know where it's going to go next. I don't know. So, I'm just dealing with it, doing the best that I can. My head is like really hurting. My neck is hurting. It's just all bleh. But anyway, I'm here and this is going to be, it's a new little thing that I'm trying. So I'm going to do like 2 little short things about our topics. So I've got 2 topics to talk about today, and I'm going to do roughly 15 minutes talking about each one. So we're going to get into our topics for today, and yeah, let's get into it.
You got me feeling a vibe. You got me feeling a vibe. Like how could I not think of you? You got me feeling a vibe. You got me feeling a vibe.
I forgot to mention, before we get into our first topic, the tea that I'm drinking, I really just want to shout it out because I have several different kinds of tea in my kitchen. And this is the one that I've been choosing time and time again. It's right here. It's by Bigelow. It's called Mint Medley. I'm loving the mint. Oh my goodness. I'm loving it. Bigelow is one of my just long-standing favorite tea brands. And this isn't sponsored. This isn't sponsored yet. But this isn't sponsored. I just really want to shout out one of the teas that I'm enjoying is Mint Medley by Bigelow. It's very good. I put honey in all of my teas to sweeten them. And it's so perfect. So smooth, so minty. I love it. I steep it for the recommended amount of time of 4 minutes. And I just enjoy it. It's also nice because I'm congested and sick. So the mint is really nice. Yeah. Cheers to the Mint Medley. I'm going to pop in a cough drop before I get started. Hold on. Before I get started talking, because I don't want to cough on you. So let's do that. Don't want to cough all over you. Okay. Our first topic we're going to talk about. Let me check my timer. Okay. It's crazy to think that we have to strive to be better than we were yesterday. Let me break this down. I had this thought because I think something we hear a lot is just like, or at least something I hear a lot, especially on my social medias, is just striving to be better. The only person we can be better than is ourselves, or like the only person we're competing against is ourselves. So if I'm one step ahead than I was yesterday, like, okay, I've made progress, making progress, being better than I was the day before. And I'm sure when this is said that it's said with obviously good intentions. And I do believe there is a good intention behind striving to be better than a yesterday's version of ourselves. But to think that we are much different than yesterday's version, this is where I kind of think about it differently, is just to think that I have to be a better version of myself every single day is kind of stressful. I don't know about you, but it feels kind of stressful. It feels kind of overwhelming to think like, am I better than I was yesterday? It's like, well, yesterday was a day ago. you know what I'm saying? Yesterday was just a day ago. And maybe you see the days as longer than they are, but I don't know, to think like, am I better than I was 24 hours ago? And yeah, I'm probably thinking about this in a deeper sense, which is kind of what we do here on the bedside table, is we think about things more deeply, and I talk about how I think about things more deeply, even something as simple as just like, be better than you were yesterday. There's always something deeper to explore within any kind of topic. But anyway, hello, baby girl. To me, it's crazy to think that we have to strive to be better than we were yesterday. Because it's okay to not be fucking perfect. It's okay to take steps back. It's okay to make a mistake that we didn't make yesterday, or that we've never made in our lives. Like, it's okay to fuck up. It's okay. It's okay to fail. It's okay to be bad. Like, that's okay. With a caveat. It's okay to do these things, I think, as long as we're learning from it. And I think that's probably where it comes in with, like, be better than you were yesterday. Kind of, for me, it's like, learn from your mistakes. So if I make a mistake today, and am I going to go out tomorrow and make the same mistake? And it doesn't even have to be as simple as that. It's just, if I make a mistake today, am I going to continue to make that same mistake, or am I going to learn from it? So to me, I think that's what that really means. When we talk about striving to be better than yesterday's version of ourselves, I think it's more so like, are we learning from our mistakes? And if not, why not? If we aren't learning from yesterday's mistakes, or the past mistakes that we've made, if we're not learning from them, why not? Why aren't we learning from them? Are we not taking time to think about the things that we've done and the choices we've made? And are we not looking at our lives and taking time to try and understand what part we have to play for where we are? It all starts with a really simple topic and a simple concept, and we get into it, don't we? That's what I love about the bedside table. It's what I love about being here in my own space and sharing. Because the moment I start sharing, it just goes into something else. It goes into something that I didn't even realize, like, oh, okay, I can talk about it like this. And then it leads me here. Sorry, I'm just doing a little thought breakdown. So, yeah, when's the last time that you took a look at your life and thought about the choices that you've made that have helped you get to where you are? Whether you're in a situation or a place in your life that you want to be in or that you don't want to be in. I think it's important to ask yourself, how did I get here? How did I get to this place right now? How did I get to be where I am? What choices have I made? That might be a big question. I think it's a question worth exploring, though. And are you striving to be better than the past version of you? And when I ask that, I know that I started this by saying it's crazy to think that we do have to strive to be better than we were yesterday. There's two sides to the coin. I think it's good. I think it's good to learn from our mistakes. And yes, to strive to be better than a past version of ourselves that would make these mistakes and maybe not think about them. Maybe now we think a bit more about the mistakes we've made and we think a bit more about the choices that have brought us to where we are. Maybe now we start doing that. Or maybe we have been doing that. Maybe we feel stuck. Maybe we feel like, okay, I've been doing this work. I've been doing inner work and looking within and asking myself these questions and really trying to hold myself accountable for where I'm at in my life and the choices that I've made. And now I don't really quite know what to do next. Maybe you feel stuck and in this in-between period of I've done some work and I've looked within and I've asked the right questions and I've taken accountability, or at least I've tried to. And now I just feel a little lost. I think no matter where you are, whether you've asked yourself the questions and done some inner work or whether you haven't at all and you're like, huh? How do I do that? What are you talking about, lady? Or maybe you're further along in your journey. I think wherever you are, when I think about striving to be better than I was before, the other side of the coin is to give myself some grace. To give myself some grace and some compassion when I make a mistake that I've made in the past. When I'm learning a lesson again. When I'm going through something that when I'm putting myself in a situation and when I'm making choices that put me in a situation that I've been in before. When I find myself in a cyclical pattern of making similar mistakes and having to learn again and again from the same mistake, I think it's important to give yourself grace and compassion, because honestly, we are all just learning. We are all just learning. And I've become aware of a cyclical pattern that I've put myself in. I've become aware of some mistakes that I've made over and over within the past decade. And I'm looking within to try and understand why, to try and understand what causes me to make these choices and to end up making these same mistakes and putting myself and other people in a difficult situation. I'm learning to understand so I can be better. So I can make different choices. But if I just sit here and say, oh, well, I'm going to strive to be better than I was yesterday. Do you even know why? Do you even know why you're here? Do you even know why that you've continued to make the same mistakes? Do you know why you've made the same choices that you've made every day for the past 2 years, 5 years, 10 years? Do you know why your day goes as it does? I think trying to understand why is more important than, or at first, I think it's important first to try and understand the choices we've made and the mistakes that we've made. I think that's an important first step that maybe we miss out on when we see all of these things telling us to be better than yesterday. Okay, maybe I'm not ready to be better than yesterday yet. Maybe I haven't figured out why I wasn't. Maybe I haven't figured out how to be better. Maybe I haven't figured out why I've made my mistakes. I think I'd rather do that first. So that's why I was asking, have you thought about the choices you've made that have put you in the situation that you're in now? Have you thought about your part to play in it? And wherever you are, like I said, whether you've done any kind of work at all, if you're feeling a little lost, a little stuck, maybe we can all just meet in this space of grace and compassion together and just kind of recognize, okay, I'm here, this is where I'm at right now, and I'm going to make the best of it, knowing what I know, and I'm going to try to learn about the choices I've been making. I'm going to try and think about, what have I done that's brought me here? But I'm going to do that with grace and love toward that past version of me and toward me now. And moving forward, I'm going to try with this understanding, with still trying to understand why I've made my choices and where I've come from and what a past version of me really was. Maybe a past version of me was coping. Maybe a past version of me didn't know how to make better choices. Maybe a past version of me only knew how to be in this pattern of self-destruction, of self-sabotage. Maybe a past version of me just wasn't quite ready yet. Maybe she wasn't strong enough, and that's okay. Maybe this past version of me didn't feel enough love from herself. Maybe a past version of me was just confused, didn't know how to navigate all of this, which is fair enough, wouldn't you say? Life is a crazy thing to try and navigate through, let alone if you grow up in dysfunction or abuse or trauma. So we're figuring it out wherever you are. We're figuring it out. And I invite you to be in a space of grace and compassion for yourself. Just for a moment, just to hold a little love for you. Just to say, hey, I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay. I'm doing what I can right now. And if you feel like you're not okay and you're not doing what you can, what can you do? Just in this moment, what can you control? What kind of choices can you make that are going to start leading you in a better direction? And if you don't know, it's okay. If you have no idea, that's totally okay too. Hold some grace and compassion and some love for this version of you now who doesn't really know what to do. Because I promise we're going to figure it out. And we don't have to be fucking perfect. And sometimes it's not about striving to be better than we were yesterday. Sometimes it's just about giving that past version of ourselves some grace and some love for doing what they could with what they knew how. With how they knew what, with what knew, yep. You get what I'm saying. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's move on.
Like how could I not think of you? You got me feeling some type of way from the songs. It's too early days and I can't seem to keep my mind off of you. It comes and it goes, but it's never gone. How can I go on without you? Please don't let me. Please don't let me. You got me feeling a fight. You got me feeling a fight. Like how could I?
So within the past 3 to 4 years, I've really been learning about myself spiritually and exploring my spiritual side, and I love it. And I'm still growing and learning within myself about what spirituality means for me and what it means to be spiritual and what I believe in. And I'm still learning, but I feel a lot more, I feel a lot more content with myself spiritually because I grew up really religious, and religious in the sense of like evangelical Christian, but like weird. Uh, so evangelical Christian, yes, but it was just, there was a lot of hypocrisy and a lot of like, I was being taught one thing, but I saw another. That's hypocrisy, right? I guess, yeah. There's just a lot of hypocrisy, and I think that's common within Christianity and branches of Christianity and other kinds of religion. I think hypocrisy is pretty common, so I dealt with a lot of that. It was just a lot of weirdness. But I mean, I was instilled at least with a curiosity about not only religion, but beliefs and spirituality. And when I was in my early 20s, I really started kind of delving into that and what it meant to me. So this one's a little bit funny to talk about, but I wrote down, is the universe sending you signs? Nah, it's just your algorithm. And I started thinking about this because I would scroll my Instagram feed a lot, like recently, within the past like year. I started just kind of scrolling Instagram a lot. And what the point of following the accounts that I was following was I wanted to follow accounts that like made me feel good and accounts that I resonated with. So when I would see something pass through on my Instagram feed, something like spiritual or something sweet or kind or uplifting or motivating, inspiring, those kinds of things, depending on what it was and how it felt to me and how it resonated with me, I would follow it. So I started compiling, and I don't follow very many accounts, I'll be honest, compared to other people, I think. Maybe I follow a couple hundred. But that's enough to kind of build up this feed and to start seeing, the algorithm starts working and you start seeing different accounts that you're not following that are of the same kind of content that you are following. We know how it works. I don't have to explain it to you, I don't think. But I basically just compiled these accounts. And so as I was going through my feed, compiled these accounts of like motivation and spirituality and things that I resonated with at the time. And I started to look at it and realize like I was just going through this. I was looking at it every single day. And I was like, oh yeah, I can relate to that. Oh, I can resonate with that. Oh yeah, I can, it must be a sign. It must be a sign from the universe that I'm seeing this right now because it feels close to home. It resonates. It's a sign from the universe. No, actually, it's just based off of the posts that I have liked and the things that I have followed for why I'm seeing what I'm seeing right now in front of me. And it's interesting to think like I created this for myself, right? I created this feed for me. I didn't create the content, but I created the kind of content that I wanted to see. I created this with the help of the algorithm, but still. I followed these accounts because they resonated with me, and I was like, yeah. Now I have a feed full of things that make me feel good and things that are inspiring and motivational and things that make me think and things that I resonate with and relate to. Great. Right? Well, kind of. Toward the time that I was, how should I frame this? When I was in the midst of an inner conflict about my marriage, specifically deciding whether I should stay or whether I should leave. This inner conflict existed probably for at least a year, and I'm more certain it existed longer. But I would seek answers online a lot of the time. And I think that's one of my faults, is just I do this not just with my relationship, I do this in general, is because it's just, and the problem is like there is just so much information out there. It's just like you can ask one question of like, why does my partner seem distant? And you get article after article after article written by who knows who, like who knows, written by who knows. And then you have, your Reddit threads, and you have experiences from, you have articles and things written by people who've had experiences that are just not yours. And it's not to say that we can't learn from other people's experiences. Obviously we can. But in a state of my own inner conflict, instead of trying to communicate and work it out and try and figure it out with the person that I'm having the conflict with, or the conflict about, having conflict about my relationship, instead of, and it's not that I say instead of doing that, it's not that I have not tried to communicate about it. It's just a difficult thing to communicate about, especially when I myself don't really understand the conflict and why it exists, which I've been learning more about it. And I may talk about that in a longer podcast episode. I think I'd like to talk about this inner conflict with my relationship and why it exists and where it's come from. I'm learning. I've been talking with myself about it and just being curious about why that exists. But anyway, around the time that I was having this inner conflict and it was really affecting me, this inner conflict about whether I should stay or leave my marriage, stay in my marriage or leave, I started compiling these accounts. I started following these accounts that resonated and that felt good. But looking back on it, recently just looking through it, I'm realizing like none of these accounts that I follow are about, actually there's a couple, but I don't follow like accounts about a successful marriage. I don't follow things that are like uplifting relationship wise. Like, it's funny. The accounts that I find myself following are things talking about like, she's learning how to be independent and she's not settling. And even if I go to like my search, it's like signs of narcissistic partners and like gaslighting and like all this. And it's just not, I understand the intention. I understand that the intention is to be helpful, to put that information out there. And I'm very grateful that we're able to have conversations about these things when in the past we may not have been able to. I'm glad that there are more conversations happening around things that have been closeted or things that have been swept under the rug, such as, gaslighting and narcissism and a lot of mental health things. I'm glad that we are all able to talk more openly and freely about them and learn more about them now. So I understand there is good intention behind it, but being in the midst of the struggle that I was in, I don't think it really helped me much to have this kind of overload of like, you can do this on your own and you're going to be okay and you don't, you deserve this and this and this and never settle and keep pushing forward and you'll find yourself and all this. And it's just like, it's all fine and dandy, but it really starts to have an effect, and it starts to like, I began to understand, like, it started making me feel a particular way, not only about myself, but like about my partner and about my relationship, without even talking about these things with my partner about our relationship. You know what I'm saying? Without even having conversations about it, it's just like I started to form this opinion of my partner, and I started to see our marriage as something that it wasn't. It was just a perception that made sense to me at the time because I was resonating with these Instagram posts because of how I was feeling. And that's a scary thing, kind of. Because it meant that social media was altering my perception of my own reality. It was altering my reality. Because where's the truth? And I think it's so much harder to find the truth in your reality when you have so much information, and when you have so many things, specifically on social media, that are kind of, in a way, tailoring your perspective of your reality, if that makes sense. So it's like I wasn't able to clearly see my marriage for what it was, the good and the bad within my marriage. I wasn't able to see it for what it was. And I wasn't able to see my partner for who he was, because I already had this lens that I'd formed for myself. I'd formed this perspective with the help of social media, but I utilized social media in a way that started to alter and shape my perspective about my reality. And when I take a step back and I look at it, and I look at the accounts that I follow, and I look at the things that I scroll past on my feed, I start to understand how easy it is to be shaped by our social media, how easy it is for our perceptions to be swayed, how easy it is to start thinking of a situation in our own life based off of content we see online, how easy it is to formulate an opinion about somebody based off of an article that we read, that we resonate with. Because if I read an article about a narcissist, or if I start learning about narcissism, and I start picking up these little things of like, oh yeah, well, my partner does this here and there, but then if you go online and say, what's narcissism? What are signs of narcissism? You could probably find so many. First of all, you're going to find so many different articles, so many different people talking about this exact same thing. And you're going to find as many signs as you need to be able to point out and say, oh yeah, well, my partner does this and this and this and this and this. So wow, maybe they're a narcissist. What is gaslighting? You can look that up online and it'll come up with, oh my God, so many people, again, so many different opinions of what gaslighting actually is. And I think that's such, like, do not get me wrong, social media, the internet, technology is amazing. And it's an incredible tool. But it's also very messy. There's just, especially now, anybody can have an opinion and talk about something and put it online for anybody to see. And it's just like, what is real and what is not? What is true and what is false? It's so hard to differentiate the truth versus someone's opinion. What's real and what isn't? What is someone else's experience of narcissism, someone else's experience of gaslighting? And I'm not trying to invalidate anyone who comes online and talks about these things. I think when someone comes and talks about it or posts it for some, makes content about it, I think they do it from an experience of their own. But from someone like me who struggles with my own perception of reality just normally, who struggles to understand, how does this marriage thing work, and who struggles with communication, so it's hard for me to sometimes communicate with my partner and talk about the things that I really need to talk about. It's hard for me to articulate my own thoughts and feelings sometimes. For someone like me who struggles with that, when I find something online that I do resonate with, or if I find something and I love to learn, so I'll go down rabbit holes of just learning about particular topics that I'm interested in. And sometimes that's narcissism. Sometimes it's gaslighting. Sometimes it's mental health. Sometimes it's growth and spirituality. And there's just so much out there that it can be not only overwhelming, but it can be misleading. And it can be harmful because it really can start, like I said, it can start to alter your perception of your own reality. So while I do think it is a tool that is something we can utilize, it's a great tool that we can utilize for a lot of different things. Social media and the internet is what I'm talking about here. And when we need to learn about things, I think it's an amazing tool. But I think it's something to be careful about. Because I don't like that, and again, I created my Instagram feed. I did. It's not the universe sending me a sign. It's what I've liked. It's the posts that I've liked and the things that I've looked at and the accounts that I've followed. I create that. I create my online reality with the help of the online, with the help of social media, with the help of the internet, yes, but I think it's important to think about the kind of reality you're creating for yourself online, because I think it can have a massive effect on your actual reality. Real life, It's weird. It's weird, and I think it's just something. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I've been talking a lot, so it's all just coming to the front of my face, but yeah, I think it's hard to hear ourselves and to hear our own truths and to understand our own perceptions, especially if you come from a place, again, of dysfunction and abuse, where you were kind of just taught to suppress your truth. You were taught to suppress your reality, or your reality was altered for you. So for me, I think I'm more susceptible to my reality being altered by a third party. Sorry, I had to cough really bad. So I think I'm more susceptible to having my reality altered. So, social media already kind of has and to no fault of social media, just how I grew up. So it's easier. It's easier for me to get information online about something and then to think, maybe that's how it is for me. It's easier for me to be swayed, and that's something to learn about. So, yeah. So maybe the universe isn't sending you a sign. Maybe it's your algorithm. Maybe it's literally what you've created online for yourself with the help of the internet, with the help of social media. Maybe your online reality is maybe it's not from the universe. Maybe it's just you and a whole bunch of information and content, and maybe we take a step back and try and understand without everybody else's opinion, without a stranger's opinion on the internet, and without these accounts, without all of these, oh my God, there's endless accounts, endless content. maybe we take a step back from that and try and understand our perception of our realities from inside. Again, not to say that the internet and social media and learning about things, not to say that we can't utilize it. But if you start to feel a little crazy like me, if you start to feel confused about your reality, or if you start to see things differently, and then if you start to make choices based off of how social media or the internet has made you feel, then your life starts changing because, oh my goodness, now you're making different choices because of, oh, that post that I saw, it was a sign, it's leading me to do this, and blah, blah, blah. If you start going down the rabbit hole of social media and the internet, like I have, maybe that's when you take a step back and start to ask yourself, wait, is this really how my situation is? Or is this an altered perception that I'm having because of all of the content that I just swallowed with my eyeballs? Sorry. It comes out when I laugh. But yeah, maybe I'll talk more about that if you guys want to hear more about it. Because that's a little crazy to me. But yeah, I could go on, but ooh, yeah, a little crazy.
Can I go on without you? Please don't let me. Please don't let me. You got me feeling a fight.
Well, hey folks, that's it for today's episode. And if you noticed, it's a daytime episode. Because I don't have a lot of time, and also I'm going to be away from home for 3 weeks because I'm going to be pet sitting for, 18 days. I've got a long stay this month, so. But thank you. Thank you so much for joining me for an episode of The Bedside Table. And I'm sorry about the congestion and the sickness. I just, the show must go on kind of thing. But I honestly if I was just like, I can't record because my ear is stuffed up and like I'm stuffy and all this, and it's just like, well, how long am I going to be like this? Because I've been like this for the entire month. I can't take another month break after I've just recorded one episode. So anyway, thank you so much for joining me for an episode of The Bedside Table, episode 11. If you're new here, maybe consider subscribing because I talk about a lot of good things. And maybe watch some previous episodes. There's a lot of good nuggets. What I talk about is always in the description of my episodes, so you can sift through and find something that maybe resonates with you. And wherever you are, I hope you're doing okay. Whether it's day, evening. Is it 3 a.m. for you? Are you supposed to be asleep? No. But thank you. And if you're returning, thank you for being here, for your continued support. And yeah, that's about all I have for y'all today. So I will see you in the next episode of The Bedside Table. Have a fabulous day or a fabulous evening, wherever you are. Bye.